Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Race Day scoring update. This is going to be for the month of October. Thanks again for joining me today. Got a lot to go through. October's been we've done a lot of work in October to make this product a whole lot more stable than it has been in the past. We're making a big push now to begin really encouraging users to move on over to Race Day scoring, as we think at this point it's become a really good complete product. And I think you'll see that our updates are proving that. We are really adding a whole lot of stuff and fixing a lot of issues and putting a lot of effort in to make this really, really stable. So we'll go through the updates in our release notes section on our blog today. So again, this is always available if you go to raceddayscoring.blog and then about and then release notes. So we'll list out all the fun things we fixed and things that we've added. So I'll get started with the update on October 11th. So the first big thing we have, which I'm really excited about, is we've added the first part of our aggregate team scoring reports. So now we actually will be able to, this is the start of our team scoring system, and this is aggregate, where you're adding up places or adding up times for people. So I've set this race up to score by teams, and so now we have this report which will show the placements of each of the people within the team and then the overall group place. In the current version, this group place I think is off. It's their score total, but it'll be ranked like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the future. So what you'll be able to do is actually go into your scored events and say, now I have a group scoring settings here. So we've had relay for a while now. We now have aggregate, and we're able to score the aggregation by overall place. We have age group place that's just gotten released into our test environment that is working now as well. And then we'll do gender place, age group place, and number of finishers in the near future. You can set by scored event how many we should score and how, like basically what minimum do you have to have in order to score. You can also do that by group type. So the group types can be determined in this group classifications section of the app. So these are ones that originated from RunSignup. This race had a RunSignup page, and these come down automatically. So they have these different group types for small companies, large companies, and social groups. So we pull in all that data automatically and apply all these settings to them. So if they had gender requirements on this type or age requirements, they would all show here and would apply to your scoring automatically if you so wish. You also have the option to create your own custom group types. So we've made a really, really powerful system for group scoring. As we go further down this road, I think you guys are going to be really, really happy with what we're able to do with the software. Another thing we've added is a section place field. It now includes DNF, DNSD, and Q flags. Kind of a minor add, but what's good to know is that we do have this section place field that a lot of people don't quite understand. So section place is basically a way for us in reporting, when you're creating a report section, you can filter a report section based on some criteria, like I want to show only those who are from Moorestown. I can say, make a display filter that limits it to some city. And what that will do is it will basically shorten this report section and filter it to place them only of those who equal Moorestown. But their places are they're gonna keep the original placement in this scored event. So, second place person was from Moorestown, his placement's still going to show too. So this section place is another column you can add to display, okay, within this filtered section, what was my place? So now we can show overall place as well as section place in the reporting. So we added that field a little while ago, but now it didn't include the DNF, DNS, and DNQ flags. So now we've added that. We've added a way to import data with any delimiter you provide. So originally we had only accepted comma delimited files for importing participant data or anything else in our system. This does cause some issues if you're using data that has a comma and an address or something like that, because that can cause confusion sometimes depending on if you used Excel 97 or 2002 or whatever. It may not properly format it and will have some fields being offset incorrectly. So now you can use a tab delimited .txt file or a semicolon or anything you want to. And you'll see this if you were to go into the import participants. You can now define your own field delimiter. So a comma is your standard CSV file. A tab is your standard TXT file. And if you actually type tab, it will put it in there. So that should reduce errors if you are importing from, a CSV that's not properly formatted. You can just convert it to a tab and import it that way. We've added support for selecting date formats when importing participants. So now when you import participant data, you're able to say that my date formatting will be, month, month, day, day, year, 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 or day, day, month, month, year, 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 and so on. Sometimes if you're, international customers, more importantly, they'll have dates in a different format. So we used to assume that it was, standard American format, I guess, but now we let you decide on your own. We've added city state to the list of available columns to add in the recent reads view. So we have a really nice functionality here to show a full screen recent reads view, kind of a way to do a little announcer screen right on your computer. We added city and state. We had a request for that, and it made a lot of sense for announcers who really want to be calling out that information. Save. So now I can see, Cedar Springs, Michigan, Tina just crossed the finish line. A few bugs fixed here. Fix an issue when updating the label of place column in reports. Fix an issue with deleting reports. Fix an issue with processing common start finish reads. In some scenarios, they were not selecting the right read. That's been fixed. Resolved an issue with recalculating reads and make it look like all reads are being ignored after recalculate. Fix an issue with segment place columns not being placed on chip time, even if the scored event is set to be based on clock time. Fix an issue with recent reads full screen button not working when the panel is collapsed. So this was collapsed. If you click this, it didn't quite work. So that was the October 11th update, 1.1.28. So 1.1.29 was released fairly shortly after, just about a week. And a big takeaway for this one was performance improvements. We addressed performance issues with large races. We had a customer who was doing a pretty large race, and it was about 30,000 people, I think. And it was a lot slower than we wanted it to be. So it caused the system to lock up on laptops with lower performance. So we dug into this issue and we improved a whole lot across a lot of different areas. So you should see improvements to application performance, regardless of whether or not it's a large race or a small race, when syncing all participants for the first time, when syncing participants from a RunSignup race that had groups and teams enabled, regardless of whether or not you were scoring them, it was causing a slowdown. If you're importing a bunch of reads at once, so you're not importing reads, like if you had a remote lap reader and you pulled in 30,000 reads at once, we've greatly improved the processing of, those types of situations. Recalculating reads. So if you're going onto the dashboard and recalculating everything, we've greatly improved that. Importing race exports from older versions of RaceDay scoring. We had an issue where We found that we weren't converting older versions exports very well. So we did some checking and fixed a few things that we saw that could have been an issue there. So moving on from there, we fixed an issue that would not automatically associate bib chip cross-references with newly registered participants. So we found that there was a bug that was causing bib chip cross-references to not be applied to new registrants as they came in through the sync. Fix an issue with using quick publish autosave to publish results to RunSignup. This was just if you are basically recycling a results set on RunSignup, you have the ability when you're publishing results in this advanced options area to say, I already have a results set that I want to update. So if you paste in your results set ID from RunSignup, it will allow you to overwrite the existing instead of add a new one. There's an issue with that, so we fixed that issue. Now on to the one we just put out today. A whole lot of bugs that we fixed. We were really, like I said, pushing to make this a stable product. So we dug into some, we decided to spend a lot of time this week on just really tracking down some bugs that we had reported. So I'll go through the feature updates first. One thing that we added was a shutdown confirmation. So now when I accidentally click out of RaceDay scoring, it's going to ask me, am I sure? We had a lot of people do this because they would try and click this X up here and they'd click that X and shut down the whole thing. So we did fix that. Added better handling of RunSignup sync errors. So we discovered that if you were adding a participant and you accidentally typed in a phone number for an email or an email for a phone number, we weren't validating that. We weren't making sure that it was in the proper format. So when basically we tried to push this new registrant, if you're using RunSignup for registration, it would throw an error and it would crash the system. So we've now gone through all the different validations that RunSignup does and make sure that we are capturing them and not crashing the system if you type in the wrong format into a field. Nice thing we did was we changed the default dates across the application to the day of the race instead of today. So in the past, if you were setting up a race or you're working on a race that was in the past or in the future, a lot of the defaults were the day that you're working on it instead of the day of the race. So if I were to go into this race here and I wanted to add a location, say it's a start and finish line, we'll see that this date is the date of the race, the date that the race was held, instead of defaulting to today. So it should reduce issues you have when you're trying to set this all up in advance. You got a race coming up this weekend, and if you accidentally forgot to change this date from today's date, it's going to stop collecting reads right now instead of when you meant to on the race date itself. So that should reduce a lot of issues you have with setups where you're accidentally setting the wrong time or the date, excuse me. So we've done it in a few different places. We've done it in the these filters. We've done it in the scored events. So as you are creating a scored event here, this gun time will default to the date of the race itself instead of today again. A few other things. If you're manually recording times using this scored reads view, add times now defaults to, again, the day of the race instead of the day you're working on it. In case you're recording times after or before or whatever, should be much better for you as you're typing in those times. Improve the user experience when loading races with groups that you were not scoring. We touched on this earlier, but we found that we weren't handling the use case of someone scoring a race that happened to have groups on RunSignup, but wasn't necessarily planning to score those groups. So we've cut out some processing that we were doing on those groups if you don't have that group scoring enabled. So that should no longer be a problem. We've improved read recalculation process stability. So again, piggybacking off of the last update, we found some more things that we could improve on the recalculation process. That's going to make it work a little bit cleaner, make sure we're selecting the reads accurately. And then we also improved app stability on shutdown. So what we found was there was situations where reads weren't getting cleaned out from the database, essentially, when you shut down a race, and they potentially could have been replayed into a different race. So we've fixed that. And then we have a whole slew of bugs that we fixed here. So I'll go through them quick. We fixed an issue with it counts of scored reads by event on the dashboard. So we have a little feature on our dashboard to show you, okay, I see I've got 3K reads here, but how many per scored event? This isn't a great example, that's a one event race, but you may have a 10K, a 5K, and 1 mile, and you can see the counts here. That wasn't working properly if you exported the race and imported it back. So if you were bringing a race export in from the field and you were restoring it onto your main system in the office, and you wanted to take a quick look to see how many finishers in the 5K I had, it would just, the count would be 0 there. So we fixed that. So now those counts are coming over with our exports, so you can see them when you do that. Fix an issue with duplicate scored reads showing for a participant if they're transferred between events. We saw an issue that if you transferred someone from one event to another, if I clicked Sean Hudson and changed his event right here, you would see that in the recent reads, it would duplicate them. Sean would show in the 5K with that time, and he would show in the 10K with that time. So we fixed that. Those extra reads get cleaned up now. It wasn't causing any scoring problems. It was just showing in this recent reads panel and looked kind of funny. We fixed an issue with band jumping rules not working when set to none. So if you have a race where you set up top finisher categories, and you have open masters and grandmasters, you have the option here to do different band jumping. So band jumping is saying, okay, my open is my #1 priority. That's the best you can do. If you really want to get the open award before you get the masters award. It's more valuable. If you're in the masters 40, it's second priority. So band jumping allows you to say, do I want to allow someone from a lower priority to jump into a higher priority band? If you say no, that would mean that, let's say a masters, so I'm scoring through 5 in the open. Let's say a masters guy, if he got 3rd overall, should he get the open award or should he get the masters award? So if you had it set to none, that would mean that I'm not allowing him to jump up to the open. So in that case, he would get masters first instead of open 3rd. So there was an issue where this wasn't quite working, depending on their age, basically. So we've now fixed that, and you're able to use the band jumping rules as they were intended. Fix an issue with participant sync when transferring a participant between events. We noticed this one when we were working on this previous issue here. If you were using RunSignup sync, it caused an error if you had transferred someone between events, which was a pretty big deal, so we fixed that one. We've resolved an issue with the connector not shutting down if navigating to another race by going to the main menu, then selecting another race from there. So we had fixed this previously by making sure that if you switch an event, if you have reads on, if you switch an event here, it will say, are you sure you want to go to your race list? This will stop the collection of reads so they're not attributed to the wrong race. So that worked great, but we didn't protect it if you were sneaky and went to the R menu, the home menu, and then change your race. So now we protect that as well. And that would cause issues if you were collecting reads and you wound up in another race that happened to be using the same stream. You would see those reads start coming in, and you may not want that. Fix an issue with the print orientation not working correctly. So if you were in the print preview in a report, which again is under Actions Print Preview, if you're in Actions Print Preview and it works, it would not let you print to portrait mode. And now that's working properly. So we fixed an issue with submitting a help ticket when no race is loaded. We found that if you are on the main menu here, oh, not there it is. Yeah, so if you switch this to portrait, it wouldn't actually print it in portrait. It shows it here, but it wouldn't print it in portrait. And it's probably going to bring this up for me a few times. Yeah. Okay, so when you submit a ticket through the help menu here, it'll always include a backup of the race. But we found that if you were clicking get help when you were not in a race, it actually would crash. So we fixed that. Fix an issue with question responses not updating from RunSignup if they are changed after syncing to RaceDay scoring. This is kind of a corner case, but we found that if you are importing, like, are you a Spectrum Health employee? And the responses are, yes, no, maybe, whatever. If one of those responses got updated, those changes weren't coming down into RaceDay scoring, and that could cause implications with your race if you are using those values to, create a filtered report. So that's all working correctly now. Fix an issue with copying age groups from one event to another or from gender to gender. We found in some scenarios, if you are copying males to females or events to events, those changes wouldn't save. So we fixed that one. Resolved an issue with reads potentially not being deleted after a race is deleted. We're trying to track down an issue that some people are seeing where they're getting reads loaded in from a race that was like yesterday, but used the same stream. So this is one thing that we found that could be causing that issue. So we're hoping that that has fixed that. If you do ever see reads coming in from a previous race that use the same stream, please let us know. But we've tracked down a few different areas that we think could be causing that. Fix an issue with participant info filters not allowing you to select numeric responses from RunSignup custom questions. Just a small issue that we basically assumed that those were strings and they could have been numbers as well. So now it lets you select them if the response is a number. Someone had grades set up for as a question, and we wouldn't let them pick 1, 2, 3, but you could pick K for kindergarten. Fix an issue with age groups and top finisher categories not exporting or importing correctly. This is a pretty big one. We noticed that we were getting exports from timers out in the field, and they were saying that they had their age group set up one way, but when we received them, they didn't look the same to us. And so we found an issue that was causing those age groups and top finisher categories to not get exported correctly. So you could have run into this issue if you were importing an export from a race out in the field, and now you have different age groups. So that's all been fixed. So that could have caused issues as well with publishing results to RunSignup if you are publishing final results from your home computer and not the laptop you're working on, and those age groups have changed. So we're hoping we fixed some issues people have seen with division placements on RunSignup through this. So that's the update for October. We have a lot of fun, cool things coming. We are very, very, very close to having corrals finished. So corrals are how we are going to handle having start times that are not on the scored event level. So we're giving you a really great solution for this. We're letting you kind of build out any group of people. So it could be, by age groups. So you could include like all the females between 1 and 99 in one corral, and all the males 1 and 99 in another corral, and set start times for each of those, regardless of what event they are in. You could also have filters based on custom question responses. So are you an early starter? Yes, you're in corral 1. Are you an early starter? No, you're in corral 2, regardless of your event. things like that. So we're really excited for that to come out. We're currently working through making sure that it's stable and works well with all the other stuff that we've been shipping lately. So we're hoping to have it in another week or two. Besides that, we also are continuously adding more and more to the team aggregate scoring section. You should be seeing improvements with each update going forward there as well. So if you guys do have any questions about race day scoring or any updates that are coming or any updates that we've done, please feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to help you. If you're interested in moving over to race day scoring, it's a really good time to start out and try. I know your seasons are starting to wind down after Thanksgiving. I think for all of you, it'd be great to try this out and really get your hands on it because it's becoming a really, really solid product. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.